Bryan Johnson, who is a technically millionaire, but he has a lot of money.
Okay.
He started a payment processor called Braintree, sold that for $800 million, and has after that decided to dedicate his life to figuring out how to live forever. So
What?
he has 30 doctors working round the clock every day, monitoring his vitals and recommending
many?
a diet. 30.
30 doctors?
30. And he takes over 100 supplements per day. He has a strict vegan diet with 0 processed foods. He injected himself and his father with his son's blood. He calls it plasma, but it's blood. It caused his father, who's 70, to have a 45-year-old's vitals. So he's
Sign me up.
He's running all these tests on himself and on people he knows to see if he can right now achieve immortality. But what he thinks is that he's not going to be successful, but he thinks that AI is going to become so intelligent, it's going to become super intelligent, more intelligent than human beings, and it will figure out how to make humans immortal.
Oh my God.
So that raises the question, he says, are we on the cusp of the most world-changing event in the entirety of human history? He plays, well, let me just say, his website is called Project Blueprint. He makes his whole trials and everything transparent for anyone to follow. And you can like buy his supplements and stuff. But where it gets really interesting is when he starts veering into this like more philosophical territory, and he gets into it with Tucker, and Tucker's just like, "Don't you fear that God is going to strike you down?" He's like, "Not in the least bit." So he's like, "I don't believe. I'm like, he doesn't believe in God. He doesn't believe in anything except his new thing is don't die. He thinks that will become the moral imperative of all of humanity." So Kelly, could you? Well, first let's just look at this picture.
You show this freak?
Yeah. So
dude.
That's what he used to look like before he started undergoing all these treatments. And now some of his body parts are that of an 18-year-old, even though he's 46.
Okay.
But he doesn't actually look 18. He just looks weird.
Okay, yeah. He went from, weird guy to, can you show it again, Kelly? Can you show this guy? Show him again.
He went from tech nerd to avatar.
To just translucent skin.
Look, on the left, he doesn't look that healthy. His hair's kind of getting wild.
No.
Then he got... he looks like the guy in the middle. He looks like the guy from, God, what's that alien movie where they go to another planet? Ethereal? Shit.
It's like Star Wars.
He doesn't look good.
Prometheus?
Prometheus.
Prometheus.
Prometheus. He looks like that.
By the way, no one knows that, but that
was a great. He looks like
a
Fassbender. But dude, Go ahead, because that drives me crazy. I don't think anybody, you're messing with God. Your machine is supposed to break down at a certain point, and you're supposed to move on.
Wait, he's 46 years old now in that
Yes.
picture in 2024?
In the one now where he...
What's his number? No, I'm just joking.
Yeah, you can reach out to him, I bet. He's on Twitter. His name is Zero/DD, as in don't die. And he tweets all the time. He interacts with people. He's like totally open about it. He's like, oh yeah, I inject myself with blood. Like it's, I'm trying things out. But let's play this clip where he talks to Tucker about what he thinks is going to happen. If you could start at the 40-second mark.
Dude, by the way, I would like if this guy gets hit by a car. That would be so funny, Brady. He just
That's what
land there.
says. He says in the interview, he goes, "I'm going to get hit by a bus. That's how I'm going to die.
For
I'm going to die the most ironic
And
death."
he's gonna be like this.
Yeah.
Don't die. You're dying, buddy.
So at least he has a sense of humor.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, play this.
Save my blood.
Any way of knowing about.
Or they'll care about.
Yes, that's
And
right.
so if you pose that question from the 25th century, and so that really, for me, creates this clarity of thought. Like if you try to really clear your head of all the noise happening now, what do they say right now that we did as a species in this moment that allowed intelligence to thrive in this part of the galaxy? And this is what I would say is this is when Homo sapiens realized that they reached a technological threshold where the only objective of existence was to continue to exist at the basic level. So this is don't die. That when we're on the eve of giving birth to superintelligence, and we have to ask all the basic questions of our existence. Who are we? Why do we exist? How do we operate in society? Do I have a job? Do I don't? Like, what are the answers to these basic questions? And what I'm suggesting is our existence is going to be compressed into one statement we can all say, which is don't die. And don't die is the most played game by everybody on planet Earth every second of every day. We breathe every few seconds. We look both ways before we cross the street. We throw out moldy food. So Don't Die is played more than capitalism. Don't Die is played more than religion. The most played game in existence. And that's the thing we can rally behind
Want to see what
in this
Tucker
moment.
says? Just give it a sec.
It's interesting, though. I mean, the fact that I think that's partly true, but the fact that you have to articulate it suggests it's not entirely true. In other words, the way that human beings differ from other animal species is not just language and the opposable thumb. It's that humans are the only animal that kill themselves.
Okay, you can pause
They
it
need
there.
to be convinced.
Well, yeah.
that life is
So Tucker in this whole interview is like following him, but he's like, but I don't have to choose to live. That's what makes humans different from animals. I can kill myself, essentially.
Easy. You could
Animals never think like that. They operate on pure instinct. So this Bryan Johnson guy is trying to say that we can get rid of God, we can get rid of all sources of transcendent meaning. And then, not only that, but death, the thing that has given human life its horizon this whole time. Like, think about it. He makes this point. Everything that we find meaningful in life is in the context of the assumption that we're going to die.
Yes.
Like, what's your legacy after you die?
Exactly.
What are you going to do while you're alive?
Yeah.
And also, it's all conditioned by the finite realities of life. What am I going to do for a living? How am I going to make food? And then reproduce, because I'm not going to be immortal.
Yeah.
So when all of that goes out the window and all the questions of what it is to be a human being are returned in completely new form, where it's like we actually no longer will know who we are now. Immortality will change absolutely everything, and it's going to be caused by super intelligence, which he says is going to be reached in this century. So my question to you guys is, do you believe that don't die is a sufficient maxim, a sufficient new meaning of life, or do you think that's nothing like Tucker thinks? Do you think that could be a thing to live by? Because I personally do not.
What do you think, Natalie?
I don't think so. And I think it sort of gets into the question of what it actually means to be alive, living, health versus wellness versus longevity. It's like, I guess hypothetically through his paradigm, you could be 150 but have horrific quality of life, right? Like you're not able to do anything. You have Alzheimer's, like you're just not with it, but you're still technically living.
Yeah, you're just like a piece of flesh walking
Right.
around like
And
a
I think
wild heartbeat.
That's sort of like undergirds a lot of his mentality, which is he wants to prolong longevity, but I just don't think that that's biologically possible. And frankly, I think he's just sort of like a weird, you said he sells supplements, like marketing spin on transhumanism with a little touch of AI, which is the idea that like, I also just think it's kind of narcissistic and egotistical. It's like, sir, you don't need to live forever.
Yeah,
Very much so.
we don't want you to live forever.
Yeah.
bro.
It's also-
you're weird.
It's like that movie Goldie Hawn where those witches and they're trying to patch each other up.
Yeah, it's horrible.
With Bruce Willis and he's the scientist and they keep coming to him to patch them up and drink that magic potion.
I know
doesn't
exactly
look
what.
good,
That's what
though.
that feels like, where they fall down the stairs and all but they're still alive.
No,
but
it's
their limbs are everywhere.
it's like zombies. What are you gonna say?
I was going to guess Hocus Pocus, but I don't think
Is it
that's the
all
right
this?
movie.
It might
No.
be. But Rob, how do you feel about
Witches
this?
of
honestly?
Eastwick. Witches of Eastwick.
Rob,
I'm getting to the point where I don't know if I'm at a midlife crisis, right? But I'm at midlife.
oh, Rob,
I've realized I'm like,
Rob, we're both there.
I'm like
Yeah.
37,
I'm there.
and I start seeing. Well, you see, there's all these surprising stories coming out about the increasing cancer rates among younger people,
Yeah.
people my
we
age.
can't
Which
talk about it, but go ahead.
yeah, and you know, it's getting to the point for me where I'm like, okay, I maybe have another 30, 40 years left on this earth. What do I want to accomplish in that time? But knowing that I have 30 to 40 years left is making me and giving me drive to get things done that I never thought I would do. Like I want to go skydiving. I want to go bungee jumping. These are things that like, I'm like, all right, I have a limited amount of time on this planet. Let's go take advantage of that now. I can't imagine just continuing to keep extending my life. I feel like I would never go and do the things that I want to go do because I'd keep putting it off. No, I'm going to live to 150. I don't need to go
What's
and do
the
these
point?
things.
There's no rush.
Exactly.
Everything would become there's no rush, and then also if super intelligence figures out how to produce food easily, so it becomes free, then there's no reason to go to work. Then there's no reason to like cover the news, and there's no reason like everything would just go out the window. So why the hell is this guy trying to do this?
And life is so precious. The idea that in this entire solar system, we are the only actual living life forms on a planet, us and the animals that are on this planet.
Yeah.
When you know how big the universe is, it would take a complete miracle for this to happen, to be at this stage of life, and then to try and take science and excuse my language, fuck with it. I'm like, hey, that's not the natural thing. What's natural is like where we're at now and the natural progression of humanity. And I feel like when you start doing things like this, you start tinkering, you open boxes you don't want to.
Yeah, and if you're in a relationship and you hate your wife, you're like, oh, I got to see you forever, bitch.
150 years.
Oh no, but going to my point, and just like
there's a positive spin on that. I think it's like there's so many people
I love Natalie has a good sense of humor.
Well, Natalie, you're right that it's so narcissistic because it's like you think that you are worth just being around forever and not giving another generation of people a chance. And like I find people on average to be very interesting in their individuality.
Yeah.
So I want to see more individuals with more personalities. I don't want to just see the same people who are alive right now just forever and there be no extra humans, future humans.
Could you imagine if Hillary Clinton continues to live
I don't
for
know,
like
though.
70 years?
Rob.
It's like
punishment of
I
society.
don't know though. I would
Yeah.
kind of like to see Michael Jordan play forever.
Okay,
Yeah,
we,
okay,
can,
just
we can
me.
pick and choose.
But here's my thing. But and Rob, and you nailed
That's
it.
just me.
Now it's human beings starting to get way too creative and way too smart with this science, just like with Mark Zuckerberg, that he lost hundreds of billions of dollars. Thank God for this stupid meta shit where you thought people wanted to be plugged in to some system and live their lives and just take drugs all day and be no, bro. This is the beauty of life, and this is why God is such an amazing being. He created us to live, to experience, to die, and move on and go somewhere else and go somewhere better. And I think that type of stuff, I'm anti that. Don't get me wrong. I take vitamins, not 100. I take like 15. I take
pretty close.
How many
99.
doctors? do that?
yeah. I don't. Yeah, imagine having 30 doctors where you're like about to go like this, and you're like, "Hey, doc, is this?" And he's like, "No, it's in plastic." But I think the beauty of is passing on, moving on to something better. I don't think we're supposed to stay here forever.